Hello, this is my recap and experience of Rocket League Worlds 2022, which happened 900 days after RLCS Season 9, which got cancelled because of this thing. Anyways, here are the teams that participated, and these are the two teams that I went for, G2 and Moist. You might be asking, why are these teams in main event, but these teams have to go through wildcard? Well, you're obviously new to Rocket League, so let me help you. Basically, this game runs on points, and if you do well in regionals and majors, you can get enough points to where you can literally just skip the wildcard. Here are the teams that made it out of the wildcard that obviously had to play. And in case if you were wondering, these games were streamed live at Twitch TV/Rocket League. Anyways, enough of that. This all took place in the beautiful Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. It was a 3-day event consisting of the group stage and the playoffs and the championship. As a Rocket League connoisseur myself, I obviously just had to go. And since the tickets came out on my birthday, my parents couldn't say no. Honestly, I had so much fun and there were so many unexpected things that happened. Just listen to this crowd. However, in one of the first games, Energy vs. Renegades, one of the players in the Renegades decided to retire shortly after being eliminated, named CJ, true crowd favorite. Now, I suppose this had been planned for a couple months, maybe in years, but this was truly sad to see CJ go, and they played a whole entire video for him, which he later said he thought was his funeral, which was pretty funny. I hope to see him on the desk casting a game soon.
He's not my client. He will forever be my client. Bye, son.
To lighten up the mood, there was this guy who did 63 squats before the camera finally cut off of him. What a true legend. One of my favorite and not favorite games of this entire event was Space Station vs. Version 1 in the lower bracket qualifiers. Space Station was obviously the crowd favorite with the help of their new recruit, 15-year-old Daniel, who everyone just seems to love. It was a super intense game overall, and extremely enjoyable to watch. It was Game 6 before Version 1 had enough and decided to send Daniel and co packing back home. And despite the crowd's best efforts, V1 was just too good. However, this was still Daniel's rookie season, and people are already saying that he's one of the best players in the world, so I'm excited to see how his rest of his career goes. Don't worry, Space Station fans, I'm sure you'll get it next time. Later on, Daniel had his revenge when FaZe finally eliminated V1 from contention. This was yet another super intense game that you could literally feel the tension coming off of the players. As for FaZe, with their new coach Roldes, they looked pretty unstoppable. Another super cool thing that happened was that Rocket League actually featured one of their content creators' songs by Athena and Isaac called Moment Rocket League Worlds Version. It is super good, and you can listen to it on Spotify and YouTube and pretty much everywhere else. Here's another game that happened with my favorite team, G2 Esports versus NRG, which was pretty good, but I feel like NRG is kind of washed. Nevertheless, the G2 boys took home the dub. Next, the two European powerhouses, Karmine Corp and BDS, went head-to-head. This was such a good game, and honestly, one of my favorites, and I'm not just saying that. This game made me want to cry, smile, and die all at the same time. It was a super valiant effort from the Karmine Corp guys, but in the end, BDS took home the game. After 0 seconds, the players managed to keep the ball in the air for quite a long time before finally it fell. When I say this ball stayed up for a long time, I mean it. Also, sorry for the bad camera skills. I'm still learning. My lungs had practically collapsed on themselves after that game. By the way, the crowd was super atmospheric, and everything that happened just added to it. It was amazing. You can tell these guys were hardcore Rocket League fans because when a Fortnite ad came up, they were having none of it. Thanks, Epic Games. finally, it was Moist Esports' turn to play against the infamous Yanks and the South American team, Furia. The two teams played their absolute hearts out, and you can tell each of them wanted it just as much as the other team. The crowd was going wild, and everything seemed to be in some sort of slow-mo, but everything has to end, and even the final waning moments of the game were absolutely crazy. Moist had a 1-goal lead over Furia, who was constantly pressuring them in the last 30 seconds, desperate for a goal. It looked like Moist had it, but then this happened. So yeah, I guess this game went to a Game 7 overtime.
15 seconds. Shoya with Vatira midfield. Yan intercept.
No, it didn't. Furia managed to take the game with 2 seconds left on the clock with a beautiful pass to Yanks, who of course just had to clutch up. With such little time, even Moist couldn't bring it back. The crowd was deafening, and even the silence that came from the Moist fans just added to the noise. This was also Vatira's first rookie season, and he did extremely well. So I'm, again, excited to see what happens next with him. Furia, though victors, were not sore winners, and they eventually came over to Vatira, who was literally bawling on stage. R.I.P. the Moist boys. Then this game happened, G2 versus FaZe, and while it looked close, it really wasn't. G2 took the game away from FaZe in Game 6. With a minute left, they had already been up by 3 goals, and I don't think there was any way FaZe could have regained, even with Roldiz. G2 was the first team to qualify for the finals to face the winner of Furia versus Team BDS. Unfortunately, I didn't get much footage from BDS in the Furia game because I was waiting in line to meet Athena and Rizzo. I also got a bunch of pictures with a bunch of different streamers and YouTubers that I met there. I'll put up pictures now. Rocket League also released this montage featuring a bunch of different new regions with a bunch of different new teams, and it was super touching to see all the players that have been completely changed by this game, who have a true love for it and were so excited to be competing here in the RLCS. But then after that, it was finally time for the G2 versus BDS game, the finals. This was it to see which team was going to be crowned the best team in the world. The crowd was clearly biased towards G2's side, as this was obviously in North America, where G2 resides, rather than BDS being a French team. As G2 walked in, you could tell the crowd was super excited to see them, and they just went crazy. By the time the statistics were up on the board, everyone was dying to see the game. And of course, the casters were all pretty much forced by the crowd to choose G2, otherwise they were booed.
But then there is also BDS on the other side who want to break everyone's hearts. I think BDS are the villain of today's story, and they're going to be taking it.
Also, this guy was back, much to the satisfaction of the crowd.
The real story is him. That's right. You just got to make it.
Finally, after so much waiting, the finals was about to begin. Yeah, so that killed most of the energy, but luckily we had some time to recuperate. Because this moment right here was the whole crowd coming together for one common cause. But anyways, then the game actually began. BDS took Game 1. Then they took Game 2. Then G2 decided to take a tactical timeout just to reset and see if they could bring this back. Then Game 3 went to overtime, with both teams knowing that this game could largely affect the motivation of both teams and most likely turn the tide of this entire series. BDS took the game pretty early on with a beautiful pass to Seiko, and of course, he just has to slot it. And at this point, it was not looking very good for the G2 boys. In fact, this game was so instrumental that many of the fans, seeing that this game had gone to BDS, were starting to leave.
G2 still have.
G2 took a very early lead, and it looks like things were looking up finally. Then G2 decided to turn the tables a little bit more with a 2-goal lead with 3 minutes left. The boys managed to hold on in the last dying seconds of the game, and maybe things might be turning around. But with a heartbreaking kickoff goal, BDS started to take control once more. Then BDS squeaked in another goal, and things were looking pretty bad for G2 with 1 minute left. From there, things looked like they were just going to go downhill, and G2 seriously needed a miracle. Keep in mind, in this series, there was no bracket reset, which means only the first 7 games would count. No second chances.
20 seconds. G2 deflating. And they've got nothing. BDS, one more.
And with that goal, BDS knew it was over, as did many of the fans who decided to leave. So at this point, BDS had pretty much won everything, and that was the end of the World Championship. Even though most of the fans there were G2 fans, some BDS fans actually stayed.
Fans, give it up for your winners and new Rocket League champions of the world, Team BDS!
Overall, super fun event, and I got to meet a lot of people who I don't think I would have met otherwise. I would totally do it again if given the chance, but RIP G2. Congrats to BDS and everyone who worked so hard for that World Championship. And here, Sunless gives out the medals to BDS. Then BDS gave some final words, and that was it.
I have no words to describe how I'm feeling right now. I do not even realize that we won. And thank you guys. Thank you so much.